be seated. Three questions. What do you carry with you? What items are better left behind? What do you hope to pick up along the way? Two monks were walking along a riverbank when they came upon their usual crossing place. At the crossing was a woman in tears. The older monk asked her what the problem was, and she told them that she was terribly afraid of water and didn't know how to swim. The younger monk looked at this woman with disdain and told the woman that they couldn't help her, as their holiness did not allow them to come into contact with women. But the older monk suggested that she climb on his back and that he would carry her across the river. The younger monk followed them across, shaking his head the whole time. And when they reached the other bank, the older monk put the woman down, acknowledged her thanks with a slight bow, and then the two monks resumed their path of travel while the woman went on her own way. The young monk was obviously agitated, and he continued shaking his head as he and his companion walked along, muttering under his breath the whole time. After about 2 miles of this, the older monk turned to his younger companion and said, "What is going on? What's bothering you? Something is clearly wrong." The young monk said, "We are prohibited from any contact with women, and you carried that woman across the river on your back. You let her climb on you, and you held her. It's terrible. It's just terrible. Wait till we get back and I tell everyone about this." The older monk gave a slight smile and said to his younger companion, "Brother, I left her 2 miles back at the crossing. Why are you still carrying her?" How many of us carry things, corrosive and damaging things, far longer than is necessary? 3 questions. What do you carry with you? What items are better left behind? What do you hope to pick up along the way? I thought of these 3 questions last week as I waited in the lobby at CBC Radio for my on-air interview with Temple Shalom member Stephen Quinn for the early edition. Stephen, I hope I didn't just out you as being a member of the Temple. You said it on the radio. In the lobby, seated across from me, was a young couple, Callan and Jessica, who that very morning were preparing to set out on a backpacking trip across North America. The trip, they explained, was self-titled the Random Acts of Kindness Tour. They even had a hashtag and a business card for it. It's an idea, they explained, that they literally had one night in a bar to sell all of their worldly possessions, except what they could carry on their backs, and to travel all across North America helping other people. I marveled at their optimism and their idealism. I envied their youth, their verve, their energy. But most of all, I admired their backpacks. Piled high and stuffed with all manner of things in every conceivable pocket and crevice and space. It was incredible. And so I asked them this early morning, I said, "Cal and Jessica, I just have to know, what's in your backpacks? I mean, what are you taking with you on this journey?" And Callan explained that they had sold all of their possessions, and the bags contained only clothing and technology. "Camping gear?" I asked. Jessica demurred and said no, she was an indoor dog, and they would be couch surfing their way across North America. By technology, they meant their iPhones and iPads and other stuff. Callan added that The only thing really tying them down were their cell phone contracts, and those were set to expire in a number of weeks. So as they left to go in for their interview, they left me in charge of their backpacks. The parent in me wanted to slip some extra cash in one of the pockets for when the couch surfing waters ran dry. The rabbi in me saw a biblical allusion in what was before me. All their worldly possessions on their backs. Where have we heard that before? The story of Exodus. Our ancestors who left Egypt baking matzah on their backs with only what they could carry, in such a hurry that the bread had no time to rise. Or the generations of our parents and our grandparents who left a distant land for the promise of a new country with only what they could fit in a suitcase, silver candlesticks clutched in their fists. Callan and Jessica were on a modern-day exodus, a journey to their own promised land, and they were packing light. Thoreau wrote that a man should be able to leave his home with nothing more than the clothing on his back and feel like he left nothing behind. Now that might seem a bit extreme, even for Henry David Thoreau, who was a bit extreme. But what he meant was that it's not about our stuff. It's about our being. That the heaviest and most important thing that we carry with us throughout our lives is our own soul, our own sense of who we are and what we aspire to be, or not to be, as another man said. So tonight, Kol Nidre, 10 days into this new year, we stand at the departure gate for the journey of our lives, a journey that begins tonight, right now. What is in your backpack? What are you taking with you? What do you want to leave behind? And what do you hope to pick up along the way? So question number one, what are you bringing with you on this journey? We are all schleppers. I mean, I say that with love and affection, I really do. But we are all schleppers. We are all schlepping something with us in life. We schlep our possessions. We schlep our commitments. We schlep our relationships, our responsibilities. We schlep our goals. Are they burdens that weigh you down? Or are those things that you schlep, are they emotional anchors that ground you and guide you and steady you in the troubled waters and the rough seas of life? The ancient Israelites wrestled with that question of baggage and burden or anchor and grounding on their 40-year journey through the desert. They had so much to carry, not just the physical, but that emotional baggage of spending 435 years in slavery. The symbol of their angst and of Moses' struggles comes at the time of the giving of the Ten Commandments. The Torah relates in that moment that there were two sets of tablets. The first set was written by God's fiery hand in white fire and black flame on Mount Sinai. But when Moses came down the mountain with that first set of tablets, what did he see before him? The Israelites dancing around the golden calf, quite literally dancing around the emotional baggage of their enslavement in Egypt. And when Moses saw this, what did he do? He smashed those 10 commandments, or 15 if you saw the Mel Brooks movie, but there was 10. Moses, of course, confronted the Israelites. He pointed out how stubbornly they were holding on to their past. And he even argued with God to forgive this people. And then Moses went back up the mountain for another 40 days, another 40 nights. And he came down that mountain on this day, on this very day in the Jewish calendar, on the 10th of Tishrei, on Yom Kippur. And he came down holding that second set of tablets. These were written in his own hand through his own sweat and labor. So commentators ask, and we ask, well, what happened to that first set of tablets, the ones he broke, the ones that were written by God's own fiery hand? Where did those go? The broken tablets were kept in the ark with the whole tablets. Our rabbis teach us that that first broken set of shards, of fragments of those tablets written by God's hand, were placed inside the ark, and that the second whole set, the new set, was placed on top of the broken fragments. When the Israelites marched through the desert, they carried this extra weight, not as a burden, but as an emotional anchor, a reminder of what they had done, of how far they had come. This is part of the lesson of Yom Kippur. Our brokenness, our fragments, our shatteredness, they serve as a foundation for our new wholeness. The great 16th century Jewish mystic Rabbi Isaac Luria of Tzfat, known as the Ari, taught that before creation, everything that ever would be created, the very essence of God's creative powers, were contained in these divine vessels through which God's divine energy and divine light would differentiate. But the vessels were too weak to contain God's divine light. And so they burst and they shattered into thousands and hundreds and millions of pieces. The Ari taught that it is our shlichut, that it's our mission in life, our sacred purpose, to gather these broken shards of God's divine light and to put the pieces of God's holiness in this world back together. It's the essence of the teaching of Tikkun Olam that we are so proud of in the Reform movement and as Jews everywhere. In our brokenness, we find the building blocks for our renewal. We cannot forget our past wrongdoings, our hurts and our failures. They're part of our story. They are part of who we are. We schlep them with us. But we can't let them weigh us down. We can't let those failures be a burden to us. Rather, they should lift us up to be a foundation upon which we build a new future, a new beginning, a fresh start. But not all of what we carry with us in this new year is burdens and baggage and brokenness, no matter its greater lessons that it serves. We also carry the essential tools that give our lives meaning and direction. We carry that with us too. So as Callan and Jessica came out from their interview, they hoisted their backpacks on top of their backs. They kind of wobbled like this. They were very heavy. And we shared a few final words, and I wished them well on their journey. I was tempted to give them a blessing, but I thought that might be too much. And so as they started to walk down the hall, I called after them. I just had to ask one question. I said, Callan, I just have to ask one question. Are you taking anything with you that's not clothing and eye stuff? Are you taking any family heirloom, any token from your home, anything to remember home with? Callan reached into his pocket. He took out an old weathered compass. He said, it's a compass. My dad gave it to me last night as we set out for this journey. My father had it with him, he said, his whole life, and he wanted me to have it. A compass to your 24-year-old boy who was about to go backpacking across North America. His father was not only an outdoorsman, but in my mind, he was a philosopher as well, to give his son such an heirloom for such a journey. The word loom, by the way, in heirloom, it means tool. So an heirloom then quite literally means a family tool, handed down l'dor vador from generation to generation. Furniture and silverware, jewelry, candlesticks, an old weathered compass. Each are held in trust for subsequent generations. Heirlooms are not passive objects. dusty and on display, but tools passed from one generation to another to help bring past to present Le Dorvador. In this new year, along with our burdens, which I know we schlep with us, we also carry tools given to us by those that came before us to help guide our steps, to help direct our ways. What is your compass? What teaching did your parents, your grandparents impart to you that you use as a tool to help you build your life, to give your life direction? Think beyond the stuff that you have and that your parents and family left you, and focus on the lessons that they taught you, the tools they gave you. Question number 2. What are you leaving behind? A professor walked into a room, a class filled with students that she was teaching. She was teaching a class on stress management. She raised a glass of water. And everyone in the room expected the question, half empty or half full, right? She smiled and said, "How much does this glass of water weigh? How heavy is this glass of water?" Answers were called out from the room, and they ranged from 8 ounces to 20 ounces or something. And she replied, "The absolute weight doesn't matter. It depends on how long I hold it. If I hold it for a minute, it's not a problem. If I hold it for an hour, my arm will begin to ache. But if I hold it all day, every day, my arm will become paralyzed and feel numb. In each case, the weight of the glass doesn't change, but the longer I hold it, the heavier it becomes." She continued that the stresses and worries in life, they're like that glass of water. Think about them for a while and nothing happens. Think about them a bit longer, they begin to hurt and ache. And if you think about them all day, every day, all the time, then we feel paralyzed, incapable of doing anything. Our burdens, our judgments, our grudges, our resentments, our guilt, our anger, our fear, our sadness, they grow heavier the longer we carry them. They sap our strength and they numb our senses. Like Jessica and Callan's backpack, we can feel their weight digging into our shoulders, hunching us over. It burdens us. The weight of our emotional baggage grows heavier with time. The great Rabbi Paul McCartney actually said it best. "Boy, you're gonna carry that weight a long time." Join me. "Boy, you're gonna carry that weight a long time." If you're a Beatles fan, and apparently some of you are, you know that these lyrics have inspired something like a Talmudic debate, a machlochet. Some think that the writer of the song, Paul McCartney, is saying that if John Lennon allows the Beatles to break up over his relationship with Yoko Ono, he will be carrying that weight for the rest of his life. Others say that this lyric is an acknowledgement by the group that nothing they will ever do in their professional lives as solo musicians will ever equal or be achieved, will ever equal that legacy of being the Beatles, that they'll carry the legacy of being the Beatles, that weight, the rest of their lives, a long time. But the greatest comment, I think, the halacha, if you would, on this machlochet, on this debate, comes from John Lennon himself, who said of Paul McCartney that McCartney was singing about all of us, about humankind. We are all schleppers. We all carry the weight of our past a long time. Sometimes we carry it too long, and we need to put it down already. We carry around things that make the journey harder than it needs to be. Standing on this threshold of this new year, can we leave our emotional baggage at the door Can we drop and put down what enslaves us, what encumbers us, what entraps us? In this new year, can we declare, I am not taking this with me anymore. I am not schlepping this into this new year, and just walk away from it? Can we leave it behind? Because if it's not helping us, if it's not teaching us, if it's not guiding us, then what good is it to us? Who here is angry with someone? Remember, we're not supposed to lie on Yom Kippur. Who here is angry with someone, angry with a coworker, angry with a friend, a spouse, a sibling? Anger so real that my mere mention of the word anger reminds you of that heat that you carry inside you towards another. Put it down. Who here is judging other people unfairly? Being intolerant in others of things that you are dismissive of in yourself? Put it down. Who here is holding a grudge, harboring a resentment? A friend didn't call you, and an invitation to break fast wasn't extended. You told somebody a secret, they betrayed your trust. Put it down. Put down the anger. Put down the resentment. Forgiveness begins when we forgive ourselves. Go through your spiritual backpack and unpack it. Lighten the load. Hold each item, feel its emotional weight, and ask yourself, do I really need to keep schlepping this thing? Is this a load that I should continue to bear? Now is the time, this evening, this Yom Kippur, to empty our backpacks and then to make some decisions about what we're going to put back into them before we continue slowly crushing ourselves under the weight of the burden of things for which we are too proud, too stubborn, too timid to simply put down and walk away from. Put it down. Question number 3, the last question. What are you going to pick up? So as Jessica walks down the hall, I notice her backpack is so overloaded with stuff, it's amazing that she can even walk straight. And I imagine that necessity will compel her, as it compels all of us at some point, to lighten our burdens, to let go of things and to lighten the load. I'm sure that she'll keep what's important because even in a backpack full of essentials, there's always extra stuff. Even more, what about allowing room for new things that she will encounter? Sometimes we are so stuck in our past, our packs are so full of stuff that we leave no room to acquire new things, new experiences, new lessons. When she does create space in her backpack, and when we create space in our lives, it's human nature to fill that space back up again. Aristotle observed, nature abhors a vacuum. He based his conclusion on the observation that nature requires every space to be filled with something. So what will we pick up in this new year that is just beginning? Can we be selective? Can we be discerning and make wise choices? We've got a little bit of room now in our backpacks. We've let go of some burdens. We've dusted off some heirlooms and started putting them to good use. We found the strength to carry sorrows by seeing them as building blocks for renewal. We've made a little bit of space. What are you going to put there? The new year is not just a chance to go back and repair old relationships. It's a time to explore new ones as well. This new year, let's open up our hearts to allow for people to make an impression on us and for us to make an impression on them so as to fill our souls with meaning, This new year, we can push ourselves in that space that we've created to be better parents, to be better spouses, to be better children, friends, and colleagues. We've got room for that. We can look outside of ourselves, outside of our personal bundles of stress and burdens of irritation, and look rather to assuage the difficulties of others. We have room for that. Let me suggest this. Whatever it is that you pick up, make it something truly meaningful. Because if all you have is a little bit of space for you, a little bit of time for you, then put what you need most for you in that space, in that time. 3 questions. What are you bringing with you? Bring all of the meaningful experiences of your life with you. What do you want to leave behind? Leave behind all of that that doesn't help you, all that inhibits you and encumbers you from being the person that you believe you were created to be. What do you hope to pick up along the way? Pick up blessings. Pick up love. Pick up meaning wherever you find it and hold it. Hold it like a treasured heirloom. Pick up opportunities that ring with words like mitzvah and tzedakah and tikkun olam. And then pass that on as a treasured heirloom, as a tool to your family, your friends. Or as those 2 monks might have put it more succinctly, help the woman drop the anger. And as the professor would have added, put down the glass. Feel the reassuring weight of your spiritual backpack on your shoulders, not as a burden, but as an emotional anchor. Let it ground you and guide you and inspire you for the journey that begins today. Your own personal random acts of kindness to her. Boy, you're gonna carry that weight a long time. So, pack carefully. Gemar Tov.